Many doctors listening to these interesting cases of hypnoanalysis will be frank to admit that they have never been able to help a stuttering patient recover from his stutter. The usual procedure which a doctor follows when handling a stuttering patient is to recommend speech therapy. Too many patients still stutter after extensive speech therapy. Obviously, this is not the answer. Every stutter had a beginning. No one is born with a stutter. We have investigated over 1,000 cases of stuttering and have never found one which began with the first signs of talk from the baby. The stutter usually occurs when the patient reaches a situation in life with which he cannot cope. He reaches a time in his life when he does not want to talk and yet is compelled to talk. Therefore, the words won't come out, and when he meets up with a similar situation a little bit later, the same thing happens. Thus, a habit pattern is born, and from that time on, any little bit of excitement, any time that patient is required to talk, brings on a severe stutter. Sometimes you'll find a patient who doesn't stutter too much. He'll tell you frankly he only stutters when he's greatly excited. We've handled those cases. We've handled the cases where the patient stutters severely. I want you to hear first a patient who stutters severely, then later a patient who stutters only when he gets excited. Notice the similarity of incident, yet notice how the severity of the incident affected each one differently. Here is the first case.
My name is Henry Chester, and I live at 2522 Central.
All right, you want to put your chair up to the table a little bit? Now, Henry, and you've been stuttering a long time, have you? Now, I don't know if your dad has taught you to play the pretend game or not, has he?
Yes, he has.
Well, let's see how well you can play it. I'm going to show you something. Now, pretend you can't open your eyes. That's all you have to do. Now, pretend it's so hard that when you try, you just forget your telephone number. You find that now when you try real hard, that you can't think of your telephone number. Try to think of it, you find it's just completely gone. It is, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. Now, it's in this state, Henry, when you're relaxed like this, and when you're pretending hard like this, that your mind can do amazing things. I can let you relive any part of your life from infancy to now. I can let you see yourself learning how to walk when you were a baby. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take you back to the time before you stuttered. So, first when I snap my fingers, you'll be in the first grade of school because I want to see if you stuttered there. So you'll see the first graders clear as though you were in the room. You'll see the pictures on the wall, the blackboard, the teacher, the kids. It'll look good to see those kids again, won't it? All right, watch. I'll snap my fingers and you'll be right there. There you are, Henry. Take a look around the room. What side of the room are you sitting in?
Oh, it's the front and it's on the right-hand side.
Front on the right-hand side. Take a look around the room. It looks kind of good to see that old room again, doesn't it, huh? All right. Tell me this, Henry. Take a look now at that kid in back of you. Who's that? Turn around and take a look at that child. Is that a boy or a girl?
I believe it's a girl.
That's a girl. What's your name?
I don't know.
All right. Now take a look at the teacher. Teacher looks pretty clear, doesn't she?
No.
All right. Well, now stay completely relaxed. Stay completely relaxed. I'm going to lift your hand and drop it. When I drop it, you'll see the teacher. There you are. Take a look at her. How's she look?
Well, she looks like you used to, but I can't remember.
Can't remember her name?
Uh-uh.
Oh, well, that doesn't matter. In a couple of seconds, your awareness is going to increase so much that you'll know every one of those kids by name just as you knew them then, and as clearly as though you were right there in the room now and knew everyone, because when I lift your hand and drop it again, now it'll seem as though you're right there, and that it's that time, because I want to ask you a couple of questions when you're 6 years old, or around that age. Now stay relaxed and watch it happen. There you are. Now then, Henry, you've been in the first grade now for a few months. Tell me, do you ever stutter when you're in the first grade?
Oh, a little bit.
A little bit every once in a while.
I'm not so sure.
Well, you take a look around this room, this first grade room. Take a look all around it. Did you ever stutter while you were in this first grade room?
Yes.
You did. So it must have started before that time then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you have Christmas at your house? Trees and all that sort of thing?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to take you back to Christmas when you were 5 years old, and you'll see the same Christmas tree and the same toys that you saw when you were 5 years old. Now watch. Stay relaxed. Watch this happen. You'll love this. There you are. Take a look at the tree. How's it look? Huh? That's right. Now take a look at the toys around there. Are they unpacked yet? Are they unwrapped yet? They're all wrapped under the Christmas tree, huh?
Well,
Oh, I'll bet you see some of your toys. What are they?
well, I remember one. It was a an erector set of
All right, take a look at the erector set. Looks pretty good to see it, doesn't it? Huh? Take a look around the Christmas tree. Tell me this. You know pretty well now, because you're 5 years old. You know pretty well. Do you ever stutter?
Yeah.
You do stutter. Let's take you back and let you see your 4-year-old Christmas tree, huh? Shall we? Would you like to see it? All right. Now stay relaxed and watch it happen. I lift your hand. Boom, I let it drop. There it is.
Pretty big.
Pretty big. Bigger than the 5-year, when you were 5 years old? Bigger tree than then? All right. Tell me, Henry, you're 4 years old now. Do you ever stutter?
I think so. Maybe.
You think so? Just listen to me, Henry, and do exactly as I tell you to do. Don't you try not to stutter, or don't you try to stutter.
Mm-hmm.
Just answer the question, because you're going to talk to me exactly as you talked when you were 4 years old. So you're 4 years old, aren't you? Tell me, what is your name, little boy?
St. Catholic.
And where do you live?
In Oklahoma.
Uh-huh. That means that you stuttered when you were 4 years old. Is that right?
I guess so.
All right. Let's take you back to when you were 3 years old. When I lift your hand, I'm going to take you back to your birthday party when you were 3 years old. Did you have a cake with candles on it each year? You're going to see the one with the 3 candles on it. Now, watch. I lift your hand, and here you are. There it is. How's it look? Sure, you can see it. Who's there at your birthday party?
Oh, most of my friends.
Uh-huh. And you're 3 years old and you can see them all, can't you? Huh? Now, when I lift your hand and drop it, it'll be the birthday party you had when you were 2 years old, and you'll see the cake with the 2 candles on it. Watch. Stay relaxed now, watch. There you are. There it is. Tell me, who's at this birthday party? Take a look at the cake. Look nice? Who's at this birthday party?
Oh, my mother's father, my brother.
Uh-huh. Oh, but you're not stuttering so much now, are you? When you're 2 years old. Huh?
Yeah.
Let's find out. What is your name, little boy? You're 2 years old.
St. Catholic.
And where do you live?
In Oklahoma.
You're not stuttering so much, are you? Are you stuttering at all?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? So something must have happened between the time of your 2-year-old birthday cake and your 3-year-old birthday cake that made you stutter for the first time. When I lift your hand and drop it, it'll be the first day that you ever stuttered. And you'll know every part of the day, even to the food you ate and the clothes you wore and just what was happening that day and everything else. Now, stay relaxed. And this is awfully important now. Now maybe we'll find out that what made you stutter that first day. Now stay relaxed, and it'll be in the morning when you're waking up of that day. There you are. Tell me, let's get dressed. Who's dressing? His mother helping to dress you?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you aren't stuttering yet, are you? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
No. All right. Now, Mother and you, well, I don't know if you're both together, but you're going into breakfast. Sit down at the breakfast table or in the high chair or whatever you sat in. What did you sit in?
I think it was a
Regular chair. Don't be worried about it, because you're not going to stutter at all, we hope, when we finish with it. Now, you're in a regular chair. Sit down to breakfast and have that breakfast all over again, Henry. Take a look and see what the food is and everything. What are you having for breakfast this morning?
I think it's bacon and egg.
Bacon and egg. All right. There's that little 2-year-old having bacon and egg. And now, tell me, where do we go right after breakfast? Where are you going?
Oh, outside to play.
Outside to play. You'll be playing after breakfast when I drop your hand now. You're 2 years old. There you are. You're 2 years old. Where are you, Henry? After breakfast.
Out in the backyard.
Out in the backyard. Who's out there? Anybody out there?
Dog.
The dog. And you're playing with the dog, are you?
Yes.
Anybody join you or anything?
No.
All right. Now, we're going to go right through now what happens in the afternoon, because when I snap my fingers, it will be just a couple of minutes before you started to stutter. Now, when I snap my fingers, it'll be about 2 minutes before you started to stutter. Where are you? Where do you see yourself?
In the backyard.
In the backyard. What's been happening?
Oh, just playing around with the dog.
Playing around with the dog. And who's coming out? Anybody coming out? You had to stutter sometime, and who's coming out to talk to you?
My mother.
What are you excited about that makes you want to stutter? What's been happening that makes you want to stutter?
There's something about the dog.
Something about the dog, yeah. What about the dog? What happened to the dog? When I lift your hand and drop it, you'll know. There you are. What happened with the dog?
I believe the dog. He kept on trying to bite my pants off.
Trying to pull your pants off?
Yeah.
You were scared? Were you scared?
Yeah.
Scared a lot?
Yeah.
A whole lot. Because that would cause it. You see what I mean? And the dog tried to pull your pants off, and you got awfully scared.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't want to talk, did you? Huh? Are you sure we're right, Henry?
I'm not really. I'm not really sure.
You're not really sure, but it just seems like this is what happened. All right. Now, you know how we make sure? When I lift your hand, you'll be watching a television screen, and you'll see a boy on that screen. That boy will be the real you who understands everything and knows everything. And that boy can't lie to you because he's the real you. You see what I mean? And he wouldn't lie to you. He's going to be in that television screen. You're going to see him playing with a dog. And you're going to see him 2 minutes before that boy started to stutter. And you're going to tell me just what happened and if this is what made him stutter, because he'll tell you. You can ask him questions. And you'll see him just as though he's on television. Now watch. There he is. Watch the television. You can see him. What's happened to him?
Playing with the dog.
Uh-huh. And what happens as he's playing with the dog?
Oh, he's the ball. And then the dog tries to pull his pants.
The dog tries to pull his pants. Uh-huh. Does this little boy on the television screen, does he ever stutter? Has he ever stuttered? That's the real you. He knows. He knows whether he's ever stuttered or not, whether he's ever stuttered or not. And he will tell you. Has he ever stuttered up to now? He never stuttered. But now we're finding this is 2 minutes or so before he's stuttering. Now, watch what happens to the boy on that television screen, and then you'll understand what made you stutter. When I lift my hand now, the first person who talked to him when he stuttered will be coming to talk to him. Who is it?
Me?
Yes, and that boy up there is you, but who's coming to talk to him?
My mother.
And what is he excited about?
About the dog.
Uh-huh. Is there something more to this story about the dog? Was the dog trying to do anything else that scared the boy and that he didn't want to talk about?
Oh, it might have barked a lot.
Might have barked a lot and scared you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. He scared that boy. Is the dog barking now that Mother's coming out? Or does the dog stop? He stops when Mother comes out. But he has a little 2-year-old frightened. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mother's talking to the 2-year-old on the television screen. Is that what made the boy stutter? Watch them as they're talking. Is this the first time he stutters, or is there something else? Hasn't he started to stutter yet? You'll know, because that's the real you on the television screen, and he'll tell you exactly what happened.
Oh, that is the first time.
I believe that's the first time he ever stuttered. Now, do you remember this dog? I'm going to ask your father. Do you remember this dog? Do you remember this incident?
Similar.
Remember similar incidents?
That's we can get rid of the dog.
Oh, I see. Uh-huh. Apparently that was his fear, that you would get rid of the dog if he...
No. We also had a youngest son and they both wearing diapers at the time. He probably started wearing training pants.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a nasty habit of fighting at the bottoms of their pants or their diapers and holding out for dear life.
Mm-hmm.
Kids would run, eventually biting their face or nose, and I got rid of them.
Oh. And this is the reason that you stuttered. Is that right, Henry? Huh? Now, let me tell you what that means, Henry, so that you understand why you're stuttering. Because if you understand why you first began stuttering, what you had encountered, what you had met up with, was a situation with which a little 2-year-old could not cope. Do you understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have any defense for a thing like this. This was past him both mentally and physically. He didn't know what to do in a situation like that. And now when he didn't know what to do in a situation like that, and somebody would question him about it, naturally, since he didn't want to talk, he didn't know what to answer. And if he didn't know what to answer, the words wouldn't come out right. Do you see what I mean? When he tried to talk, the words got all twisted because he didn't know what he wanted to say at the time he said it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand that? Now, Henry, if you understand that that was what made you stutter, then you realize that all your lifetime so far, you've been stuttering because of the habit that every time anybody talks to you, you relive consciously or below the level of consciousness this episode with a dog where somebody talked to you then and you didn't know how to answer them. So now when somebody talks to you and you don't know how to answer them, the same habit pattern recurs. Is this too grown up for you? I mean, do you understand everything I'm telling you?
I understand.
All right, now, Henry, we're going to break up that habit pattern right now. From now on, you're just going to put that episode with a dog where it properly belongs. It's just a little episode that happened in childhood, and you know now that you can talk just as well as anybody, and you don't have to relive the dog episode every time you talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I want you to think again and again and again, every time a person talks to you, and you get excited, I want you to relive the dog episode. That is, I want you to, before you answer, have a flash in your mind of that dog and say, I'm not going to let that dog bother me. That dog has been bothering me for about 12 years now, and that's long enough. Now let's put him where he belongs, and I'm not going to stutter. Now, after I have you come out of this state, I want you to do that for me, and you'll see that if you do it, you won't stutter at all, because pretty soon you get in the habit of where you're not going to stutter anyhow, so you won't have to have a flash of this dog before you answer. You remember that, won't you? And so we're going to teach you how not to stutter, no matter how excited you get. You see what I mean?
Yes,
So you won't stutter when I have you open your eyes, and if you should perchance ever start to stutter because of habit pattern, I want you to just in your mind get a picture of that dog. And instantly you'll stop stuttering because you'll say to yourself, hey, I'm not going to let a dog affect me 12 years later. See? Now when I have you open your eyes, just notice how good you talk. All right, you can open your eyes now. How you feeling?
fine.
Isn't that nice feeling? All right. Now, Henry, tell me your name and address and everything, will you?
2520 Dickie Drive.
And, all right, anything you want to tell me about yourself? And where do you go to school?
Jacksonville High School.
Mm-hmm. And now suppose you were to get awfully excited, and I was to say, you don't live there, you don't live there, you don't live there, you can't possibly live there, your name isn't Henry Traska. How would you talk?
I say I do live there.
Sure. And you got the flash of the dog, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. See what I mean?